Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Myth and Gears. Tonight we are going to be doing session 2 of The Long Night. Setting is Momentum by Jeremy Lilley. And without further ado, I'm just going to throw it at the players, let them introduce themselves, and we'll start this thing. The first is Alan.
Hello, everyone. My name is Alan, and I run the YouTube channel, Check for Traps. Also have Twitter, and run live plays there. And I'm excited to get back in to our session 2 of this campaign, our miniseries.
I'm excited as well. Next, we have Connor.
Hey everyone, I'm Connor from Dice on Ice. I'm excited to play tonight as Aetrides, the Druid of the Sea. Looking forward to it.
And we have all been practicing the name, so hopefully we'll get it right tonight. Next, we have Jason.
I'm pretty sure it's Aetrides is how you pronounce it. I'm pretty sure I got it. I deserve inspiration for that, getting it on the first try. But yes, I am Jason Osorio with the small YouTube channel Concepts and Characters and a somewhat small live play podcast called Flipping the Table. We just released, I think, our 17th or 18th episode, or we will be releasing that tomorrow. So that's kind of exciting. And I am very excited to be back playing Aegis, the reborn Battle Master, a construct of iron and wood and aether. Very, very eager to get back into this.
I'm very excited to see what Idris is going to do and show us all. Next, we have Jeremy.
Hello, everybody. My name is Jeremy. I have the YouTube channel, The Erasmus Expeditions. I do a lot of live plays of RPGs, and I talk about RPGs, and I do RPG-like things, crafting and whatnot over there. So, yeah, go check it out. There's another campaign that is running in this same setting that you can check out there called Whispers and Fragments. It's been a lot of fun, and I'm really, really excited about getting to see the other side of Momentum, experiencing it as a player. So yeah, I'm going to be stepping back into the shoes of Ivelios. He is an elven rogue, and I'm very, very eager to see what kind of trouble we're going to get into this time. So thanks for having me.
Forgot where the mute button was. Thank you for coming here. And absolutely check out the other campaign. It's absolutely fabulous. It's very exciting to listen to and to watch. So do yourself a favor, check it out. Last but not least, Baron.
Hello everyone, I'm Baron. I run the YouTube channel RWD Gaming, where I play D&D with my friends. It's pretty cool. We just did some D&D stuff last night, and we're going to be diving into a pet project of mine tomorrow at 9:30 p.m. Eastern on April 23rd. This project will have been the culmination of like 2 months' work, and hopefully you guys enjoy the first witnesses into the world of Valandorn. Tonight I'm going to be reprising my role as Durnan Kodrenra, the second son of Durnan Kodrenra the first, or second rather, not the first. I'm a man on a mission, and it's probably gonna get fucked up with these clowns, so let's do it.
Thank you, Baron. I'm very much looking forward to diving into your setting tomorrow night, so that'll be pretty cool. And for everybody who has named a channel or podcast, you should be able to find them in the links below. If I've done it right, they'll be there. Without further ado, we will begin. So we last saw our intrepid crew, as we'll call it now, aboard a ship that was being tossed at sea during an aether storm. Much violence was had that night. Many lives were lost, either due to the storm itself or to the creatures that attacked while the storm was raging. But the ship, the Windsong, managed to pull through and make it to the other side of the storm. We find the ship now cloaked in the mists of the sea as it approaches close to the edge. It is night, it is dark. Visibility is very poor. Days have passed since the last storm. And just when all hope was lost that they would find this mythical place, this rumored Barterdom, they see it as the mists part. And before them, they see a strange sight. Bounty. The Barterdom of Bounty. It's a myth, a legend, some say. All those who lived on the seas have heard the stories. And like all Barterdoms where lawlessness is the norm, Bounty is no exception. But Bounty has the additional reputation for taking it to greater heights of depravity, debauchery, and excess. There is a reason it is thought to be a myth. Because as you see before you this Barterdom, this town on the water, you notice that it does not stay put. It is in fact a flotilla. And reaching up into the sky, you see massive chains that seem to start at the city itself and go up into the clouds. Some are lower, and the moonlight just catches a glimpse, and you can see floating rocks from where you're standing. Some are massive, some are not. But it is this that helps the city move throughout the seas and stops it from being found by those authorities who are looking for it. But your captain was true to his word. He said he'd be able to take you to Bounty. And though you may not have believed him in the beginning, you find yourself approaching the docks of Bounty. And I'm going to throw it to you. You can decide who would like to go first. But what is everyone going to do as soon as the ship has docked at the port? What are your plans? What does your character think? What does your character want to do?
Artrides, my sailing friend. Perhaps you could point me in the direction of a purveyor. If you know what I mean.
Atrides looks at you. He gives you a knowing look. But then he shakes his head. I know not of a place of such you speak. For us, it's everywhere. It goes into our skins, our eyes, our flesh, our water. You must learn the way of us.
Never really was a big fan of drinking it.
What do you do?
Well, usually we just
Turn it to dust and blow it up your nose.
we aren't elves. We like to smoke it where I'm from.
Good luck at having anything light a fire here. Too damn moist.
Perhaps a normal fire. But the divine light of the lantern, she will burn anything.
Is that so?
As far as I'm concerned, yes.
Sure, there's places for your kind to get your fix.
Who's throwing around your kinds? You can call me a dwarf.
So I shall, dwarf.
Human. Or extension thereof. And I mean, dwarves don't smile, but he'll kind of like nod to you with like a twinkle and extend his hand for a handshake.
And he extends his hand as well, knowing that this is just in good jest. Kind of the size up and then the handshake.
Perhaps all of us are in the mood. I know I am. Perhaps you, our friends here. Evelios, you must partake.
I do, when the occasion is right. And if the quality is adequate.
A man with an eye for quality.
A nose, sir, a nose.
A nose.
But we also must find this child that we have been sent to find. News of her may have reached the people here. We should ask, I think.
And I imagine, surprisingly abruptly for an entity of its size and construction, Evelios, you would feel the presence of Aegis behind you, and this reedy, raspy voice comes out from the helmet saying, "It is the reason why we are here. The Valilam elf is correct. We are here to find the child, not indulge." And these pools of aether light that are this construct's eyes narrow slightly as they regard you, Durnan and Aetrides.
One who has lost his very flesh to aether tries to condemn me for my choices. Try again, bolts.
You are obnoxious, but your obnoxiousness shall not distract me from the reason we are here, dwarf.
But he has a point, you know. He has a point, you know. You are always a shadow, a downer.
Well, and the helmet quirks in your direction, Evelios, and if the construct could smile, you see the eyes kind of crinkle in this way that would suggest a smile, but it's very difficult to tell because it's just a helmet with gears and cogs whirling inside. You are not wrong. But we still have a job to do, and we should do it.
This bare-chested, large Bonekin approaches. Perhaps we can do both. I'm sure we can gather information at the local tavern, as well as indulge certain aspects.
Religious rituals is what we would call them.
Coping mechanisms.
Right.
But surely, with The ether being illegal here, then the people who have brought it will have been people who have traveled near and far, yes? Those same people should bring plenty of information and news with them.
Perhaps there is no guarantee, but we can certainly ask.
Ah, it is agreed then. This way.
The construct shakes its head and will stomp after Evelios.
I'll follow as well.
So you guys are heading towards a tavern? Is that the consensus?
Yeah, is there like a smell of ether usage around? Like, I imagine it probably has a smell when it's used, depending on how it's being used, I suppose.
Yeah, because it's usually got that sweet smell, right? That sweet, was it almondy smell?
Mm.
If it's burning. It's hard to tell here. I mean, you are on the ocean, so there is a overpowering smell of salt and brine, rotting fish even. All sorts of vile smells actually can catch your nose as you're walking through this place. This place is well established too. You're noting that the buildings are pretty solid for being on the water and built. They look like they've been here for a while. Like this place hasn't been erected overnight. Like this place has been here probably for years in this state, floating around on the ocean. Or the seas of essence, I should say. So as you're walking around, there's all sorts of establishments. There's taverns, there's seedier looking places. I'm sure you can find the equivalent of like an opium den if you're looking for that. Like there's all sorts of anything that you could imagine, vice. You'd probably find a place here, a gambling hall, etc. Where would you guys like to head?
I think the equivalent of the opium den, the ether den, would probably be where Ivelios would think to head first.
Okay. So you guys make your way down this one particular street. And as you're nearing the door to this ether den, you kind of hear in one of the back alleys somebody being roughed up. And as you kind of come closer, you notice like there's probably 3 or 4 men beating up somebody who's lying on the ground. But right there is the door to the ether den. And what is it called?
This den has no name. It is simply a gap between 2 other buildings, curtained off by these long, exotic curtains pulled away and traded and gathered from a distant land. And if to wind your way through this tight corridor, almost as if you're in a space that shouldn't exist, and then it opens up downwards into a smoke-filled room where the odors and scents and incense hang in the air. And it is dark, illuminated only by small lanterns, perhaps paper lanterns even. That has a kind of a subtle purple glow to it all, and it's in this darkness you can hear the coughing of users in this place.
can we see from where we are as we're approaching this gap between two buildings where the aether den is? Can we see or get a good view of this individual who's being roughed up in the alley nearby?
No, not as much as but they're surrounding some poor fellow on the ground. Is all you can tell. You can't see more than the fact that they're human. Well, humanoid.
So Aegis is going to stop kind of at the mouth of the alley, let the others move ahead towards the actual aether den proper. And it is going to attempt to make some kind of, if you'll allow it, some kind of perception check to see if it can get a better view of what the individual on the ground looks like, the one who's getting beaten up by these thugs.
Okay, make a perception check. It will be at disadvantage because of the light.
So Aegis does have dark vision, if that
Okay.
helps.
Yes, that would definitely help. So
Just
you can
straight
roll
roll.
what is natural. Yeah.
Cuckoo. Not bad for a first roll of the night. That's a 22.
All right. So you can tell that the figure lying on the ground is not well dressed. Looks kind of shoddy. But it looks human. And male, as far as you can tell.
So I imagine these, with this clicking whir, these two almost smoked glass lenses click into place over the pools of ether that are Aegis's eyes as it looks and gets a better view, even in this dim light, of this figure on the ground, this human figure. And the construct hesitates, turns its helmeted head in the direction of Evelios and the others as they continue on. And then the lenses retract, kind of clicking again. And then Aegis is going to continue after the group.
Avelios kind of approaches this this group where they're beating up this person, and he kind of like steps over the person's leg, kind of holding up his hands and kind of, shuffling sideways around them. Pardon me, excuse me. And he just moves past and keeps going, if he can.
Absolutely, yeah.
Pardon? Excuse me.
You should stop doing that. He just says as it clomps after Evelios and Durnan.
What are we supposed to do? He's taking up the whole damn alley.
I was referring to the ones doing the beating, dwarf, not you.
Mind your own business. It's none of our business. We have a mission. You said it yourself.
I did.
And while the rest of the party goes into this ether den, Atreides will actually stay outside, beyond those curtains, and just lean against the hodgepodge walls and wait. And as perhaps someone might, inquire to him why he stays behind, he would just merely say, "I don't like how it feels down there." And he will stare out from this view to the ocean. He has a small view of it.
Maul will stay with Atreides. Atreides, we are going to need supplies for the journey back. We lost much in the storm.
That is true. That is quite true. Perhaps let's hope they do not get lost down there. Shall we go then to get supplies?
Indeed.
And so we split the party.
Awesome. All right. So I'm going to leave Atrides and Maul for now, and we're going to look at the other three as they enter into this ether den that had no name. And as you enter, the haze almost slaps you in the face. That is where you can smell definite usage of ether here, that almondy, sweet almond smell of it burning. There's hookah pipes going off in the corners. You can see them as you're walking by. There's people who are drinking cocktails of some sort of glowing liquid. People are lounging about, most, passed out even with their eyes closed. Not too much sound is going on here, as most of the patrons are in their ether highs at this point. What are you guys doing?
I imagine before anybody else moves, both Evelios and Durnan, you just feel these heavy iron hands, these mismatched gauntlets on your shoulders, one a little bit lower than the other, obviously, for Durnan, and they just squeeze your shoulders just enough to be painful. And then you hear this voice, which probably carries fairly well in here since it's relatively quiet. Remember why we are here. And then the grip releases, and Aegis just sort of shoves past the two of you, and will find probably someone who doesn't look to be quite as high as maybe the other patrons of the den, to see if they know anything about Marika's daughter, who we are looking for.
Can't forget the mission. Evelios, can't say that I've ever witnessed your customs. Perhaps you could teach me. At least, show me. And I you.
A dwarf wishes to be closer to the Colossi.
Well, from one side of the face of the earth to the other, it's a matter of perspective, but sure.
Very well, then yes, I believe there is a ritual that you will understand. Come. Kind of lead him over towards where it looks like the exchange of money typically happens, whether it's, a counter or just someone who looks like they might deal with the business here.
Yes, towards the back on one side, there's I'm not going to call it a bar, but there's like a table, and there is a woman sitting there, scantily clad, kind of like the other couple that you've seen that are weaving their ways in and around and over the patrons, taking care of and bringing, drinks and other things. And as you approach, she looks up and says, "Yes, can I help you? You are new here. I do not recognize you."
Yes, this is the first time that I have ever been to the Barterdom of Bounty. I say that it is well worth its name.
Yes, you can find all sorts of things here. I hope your stay is an enjoyable one, seeing as this is your first.
It has been so far, yes, thank you. And my friend and I, we would like to partake of your wares.
Ah, and what are we looking for?
I wonder, do you have anything with the Ontuo label, perhaps?
Of course. Some of our best stuff has the Onto a label. I take it that is what you're looking for?
Yes, and I am considering paying for my friend here, so I was wondering how much 2 doses would be.
We do not deal with money. As this is your first time, I take no offense. But we're called a Barterdom for a reason. What do you have to barter?
Avelios kind of looks back and kind of crosses his arms across his chest and kind of looks at Durnan with a raised eyebrow. Well, perhaps I should introduce myself. I am known as the Windrider. At times, I loan out my blade for a less enjoyable kind of work, if it needs done. Perhaps there is such a thing that you need done.
She looks down at her table there. She's got a couple of papers that she was working on before you arrived. Are we talking anything?
Hold on. And I'll rummage in my pockets, and I will pull out a few, a few. They're not like vials, as they are more like canisters, almost like mini M&M canisters, and I'll hold them up. 2 vials of brimstone.
Oh, her eyes kind of go wide at that for a second, and then immediately her face levels back out to.
And if she goes to like take them, I like reel them back. No, this is a barter. We want aether and information.
All right.
Do we have a deal?
I think this is a very good trade. So 2 vials, you said, of... Is it Zephyr that you are wanting?
I'll look back to Ibelios.
Avelios is kind of trying to play it cool, even though he had no idea that that Durnan had these on him. So whenever she mentions whether or not we want Zephyrs, Avelios just kind of looks at him, just kind of small nod.
Indeed. We'll take 2. And we have a few questions as well.
One moment. I will be right back. And with that, she gathers her papers and she disappears through what you could see now is a curtain that was behind her. And she is gone for maybe a couple of minutes. And then she comes back out, and in her hands, she's got 2 vials of this purest ether liquid. Jeremy, you can describe what these vials look like.
So I think that she probably knows that this is for a dwarf and an elf. And so she has brought out one of them. They're both kind of this bluish liquid, but when the liquid splashes, it, instead of kind of forming waves off of the inside of the vial, it almost turns into like swirling mist. And I think one of them has been prepared for like liquid consumption, or has been dried so that the dwarf can enjoy it, and the other has been, it's got like a mister or something attached to it. This kind of like this scroll work, very elven looking, almost like an inhaler of sorts that holds this canister.
She comes out with these, and she is about to pass them to you, Durnan. But she holds out her hand for the brimstone. Trade?
So it would help if when I was talking to this chick, I was making words. So I placed one of these vials of brimstone in her hand and like kind of flashed the other one in front of her. We had a deal. Information. Then you'll receive the rest of your payment.
All right. What is it you are wanting to know?
How often do you get travelers, people such as ourselves?
It is a common occurrence, but usually... No, I should not say that. Travelers such as yourself are very rare. Most who come here have been here before. But people are always coming and going.
We're looking for a child. A girl.
A child, you say? Bounty does not traffic in children.
I don't know if it's...
No. He kind of like steps in between Durnan and this lady. There is a grave misunderstanding. This girl is missing, and we intend to return her to her rightful place.
Oh, well, that is different, but children are not seen here. How old are we talking of?
Did we learn that information?
Marika's daughter would probably be in her late teens, early 20s.
Okay.
Yeah, she'd be a woman.
She is a young woman of childbearing age herself.
Oh, sorry. Do go on.
We know very little else about her, truthfully, except that her family name is Godera.
Godera. No, I cannot say that rings a bell. But many, as you can see, and she waves around the room, many lost souls find themselves here. They seek a better life than the ones they left behind. Maybe this young woman has done the same?
He kind of turns around and his shoulders kind of... Yes, I suppose it is true. In that case, we will be looking for some time, I think. He kind of looks to Durnan. So, for now, we should kick our feet up and relax a bit. It has been a long journey to get here.
Strenuous. Full of hardship.
We lost many souls. We should honor them. Honor them with prayer. Come, I will teach you my prayers. And he kind of wraps his arm around the dwarf after the payment's been exchanged and leads him to...
Yeah, I would give her the other vial.
Yeah, she definitely takes it and hands you. I hope you find who you are looking for. I'm sorry I could not be of more help here. May her path and yours cross. And
Thank you.
She turns and goes back to her business.
Well, that was less informative than I had anticipated. I suppose I could have incited. Fuck. Never mind.
I'm certain that she knows more than she is telling us. But that is the way of things here.
True.
These kinds of places are
Having
not straightforward.
stepped off a ship and into a den, perhaps stepping on toes isn't the first thing we should do. To our fallen comrades.
Do
The
hardship.
ones who, what's that?
Do hardship.
Do hardship. And I think I have to roll some stuff.
Yeah.
So I have to roll.
Tables.
I get a 3d6s here, or just 2.
I am just going to that. Okay, so you are using ether, so you're going to roll a d6 for a boon and a d6 for a bane, I believe.
Okay.
And a d4 because that's going to go onto your stability score.
All right. Boon's a 4. Bane's a 5. D4 is a 1.
Okay, so your stability score is now going to be 1 at this point because we didn't actually establish a baseline, so we'll have to do that. So boon, you said was 4?
Yep. So I feel no pain. I gain temporary hit points equal to half my normal total. Jesus Christ. I have so much hit points right now. Whoa.
You have them for an hour. So
But I take a negative penalty to my proficiency roll for the next up to 60 minutes.
oh wow.
30 minutes.
For
Damn.
30 minutes you're -1 to proficiency bonus, but you have
I am fucking unstoppable. I have 90 health right now. Come at me.
that's amazing.
I will fight everyone in this bar poorly.
All right, Ivelios, are you also partaking?
I am, absolutely.
Okay.
I also got a 1 on my D4, thankfully.
Okay.
And I recorded it on my sheet. And let's see, for boons, I got a 2. So I feel a sense of euphoria. I gain advantage on all saving throws versus fear effects for the next 1d4 hours. 3.
Wow. Okay.
And on the Banes, I got a 6.
Oh, roll twice.
Oh, damn. Another 6. Oh my god.
Okay, so do they stack?
I would say so. Okay, a 4. I'm having vivid and terrible hallucinations. I gain 1 level of exhaustion until I take a long rest. Great. And then I rolled a 1, which is no ill effect. So
Okay, so
but I need 1 more because it was actually 3.
yeah.
Good God. That's another 1. Okay.
Okay, so you're
Just vivid and terrible hallucinations that incite exhaustion. No big deal.
but you're euphoric at the same time. So
Right. Sure. Maybe this just vivid hallucinations.
You're not afraid of the hallucinations.
I'm paralyzed. I can't be afraid of them. I can't do anything about them.
Horrific demons on the edge of my peripherals take the wheel.
so he's having these horrible visions and he's just laughing at them. He's like, come at me, bro. All right, so Aegis, what are you doing while these two obviously get a buzz going here?
Yeah, so the construct was looking for someone that seemed more alert than most of the patrons of this den, though I imagine those pools of ether light that are Aegis's eyes were watching the conversation between Durnan and Ivelios and the woman, and then they followed and kind of tracked the two of them as they moved off to a table or an alcove to imbibe. But for the most part, Aegis is focused on trying to find somebody who seems at least semi-coherent and alert to pump for information, potentially.
Yeah, there's definitely serving girls around. So you could, they look like they have not partaken.
Gotcha. She would look for one that is probably a Valilam elf like Ivelios is, and just approach this individual, and the construct would just, I imagine, just this reticulated iron finger just tapping the serving girl on the shoulder, and this voice just says, "Excuse me, I have a few questions."
And what's actually strange to you is that this woman doesn't actually recoil in fear like most people do when you approach them, but she calmly turns and says, "Yes, can I help you?"
Can Aegis tell if this individual is under the influence of something? I know you said that it doesn't seem like she's partaken, but is there something else, maybe?
You could make
Maybe like an insight check?
an insight check.
Okay. How am I at insight checks? Oh, that's actually pretty good. I have a +5 to insight checks. Damn. So insightful for a machine. That is a 17.
She looks sober.
And Aegis pulls the gauntleted hand back. Again, the clicking of gears and the whirring of pistons and cogs sort of accompanying the movements. And it's interesting because I imagine the construct is moving a little more fluidly because of all the ether in the air, although it hasn't actually taken a concentrated dose in. There is something almost resembling a bit of grace to the movements that isn't normally there, since Aegis normally just lumbers around. But because of all the ether present in the in this particular place, it is affecting the construct in a potentially positive way, as it says, "You are not alarmed by me, yet you are not under the influence of ether."
And she looks at you and she stares. "Why would I be alarmed at you? I mean, I know there's not too many of you around, but I have met your kind before."
Interesting. I am less interested in the reborn you have met and more interested in if you have seen a human woman. And I'm assuming Marika gave us some kind of general physical description of her daughter. Would that be a fair assumption?
Oh, yes, yeah. Atrides knows Marika's daughter, so he would have been able to have described her.
Okay. Yeah, so Aegis will relay that information to this serving elf, mentioning that she's late teens, early 20s, and other defining physical characteristics that Atrides might have mentioned.
Oops. So we'll just have Atrides jump in here right now and describe her.
Jump in there, Atrides.
The daughter is, in all senses, quite a nondescript or typical young woman, save for her missing an eye. She misses an eye, and it is covered by a small silken eye patch, but not one that is worn, let's say, by a buccaneer on the wind or on the waters, but something a bit more medicinal and costly. And she's worn this eye patch for most, if not all, of her life. An accident happened when she was very young. That Atrides does not know what it was that happened, but that it was always been the case. And for this, the girl often keeps her hair quite long to hide her face, for she knows that missing an eye is ugliness, and she keeps it hidden away. And so if you can ever stare past those long black locks of hers, you'd see the silken white bandage that covers her right eye. But that is not often the case, for she wears it long and hides her features.
So, Aegis, as you are relaying this information to this woman, she almost looks confused at a point, and she's like, "No, I have not met anyone of that description." Though,
Go ahead.
though, to be honest, I mean, I don't typically meet many young women who aren't here for, to work.
So you have not seen her here or around the Barterdom?
I have not, no.
Insight check.
Okay.
16.
As far as you can tell, she is telling you the truth.
So Aegis would stare at this young elvish woman for a moment, and the construct is motionless, almost seeming to become this statue of a figure, and then it almost shakes its helmeted head for a moment, the aether light of its eyes flickering for a moment, and then it says, "Thank you, I appreciate it. Where would you go, or who would you talk to find out more about newcomers in the Barterdom? Is there some sort of organization, some sort of information broker, someone to that effect that you're aware of?"
And this woman reaches out and touches your arm. And she kind of leans in towards you a little bit and kind of motions to have you lean down towards her. I'm assuming you're much taller than she is.
Probably. And I imagine at first Aegis almost instinctively recoils from the touch, but then seeing what she's trying to do, Aegis would just very stiffly lower itself down a little bit so the elvish woman can whisper whatever she's going to whisper.
And as you do, she kind of furtively looks around, and then she says to you, "Did she come here willingly? Under her own volition?" And then she steps back.
And Aegis would think about that because it remembers when Marika described what was found of her daughter. She found the Urstag statuette and like a shoe or something. So the construct would slowly shake its helmeted head back and forth and just say in its reedy voice, "I do not believe she went willingly."
Then I would check the slave pits. And with that, she turns and walks away.
And Aegis would stand there for a moment, and then another moment, and then it would slowly turn again with a much more fluid movement than it's used to, and move in the direction where it saw Evelios and Durnan go with their respective vials of ether, and it would approach them. And I imagine the construct sees Evelios, who just has probably this, well, you can describe it, Jeremy, this like euphoric look on his face, but at the same time, he's just kind of not all there.
Yeah, I think he's probably reclined on like these series of cushions, and his feet are up on. They're actually on the shoulder of somebody laying out next to him, and he's just looking up at the sky and just shaking his head. There's so many stars. The stars are everywhere. They're going to get us! Oh! Oh,
He's been doing this for like 10 minutes.
And Aegis would turn its head to look at Durnan and then look back at Evelios, and then it lifts this gauntleted hand and it just cracks Evelios across the face, trying to snap him out of it.
Is this customary for the ritual?
It is. You get slapped in the face when you're being an ass.
You slap me, we'll have issues.
The construct doesn't say anything.
Because for whatever reason, I'm feeling great. A little foggy, but...
I was hit by a star. Oh, it fell from the heavens. It struck me in the face. It is stinging. Oh, beautiful stars.
Right. So I'm going to talk to you, dwarf. So I believe we might be able to find Marika's daughter in the slave pits potentially. I'll grab him, but we should leave and move as quickly as possible. I doubt a place called the slave pits is very pleasant or very conducive to the girl's survival. And Aegis will just grab Ivelios and just sling him over its shoulder, very roughly. I mean, I imagine it's like impacting iron essentially and wood as it starts to turn and leave this little alcove or this niche that they found.
I'm flying. I am flying.
Stop talking.
Some of us can't hold our ether.
Evidently not. Let's go.
Let's.
And we go.
Yes, you do. Okay. Oh, that was too funny. So we will leave the three of you there, and we're going to pass over to Atrides and Maul. You were heading to get provisions, correct?
Yes, we were.
Yeah.
So you head towards what can only be termed like a market district. And as you're walking towards there, you find you pass this one section of the docks where there's some fishing going on. There's a bunch of women who are fishing into the waters. But what you notice about them is that each of these women have a huge metal collar around their neck, as well as their legs are shackled. Not so that they can't walk, but that walking would be very difficult. Running would probably be next to impossible. And if they ever fell into the water, would surely cause them to drown.
And these are human women? Or
All-
just any?
All races. You see there's dwarven women, elven women, bonekin women, human women. But the one thing about all of these women is that the majority of them are older, in their middle years. Very few of them are younger.
This Barterdom deals with slaves. If this young girl was taken here, Atrides, I fear the worst.
How often do you think they come and go?
I do not know. These women here are they're much older than the girl that we are looking for. It seems they have no use for them other than for fishing.
We can find their source. Perhaps. If it does be so tragic, follow this line back. We'll know. We'll know where they are.
If
If
they
she
took
isn't
this,
there, then that is the best outcome, no?
if indeed they took this girl to enslave her, perhaps they took her to a slave market. We should probably search there first.
She might have already been bought out by now. Who knows? A lot of padded pockets in this place. I don't like it. I don't like it.
This may be true.
You got good thinking in there, Maul.
This may be true, but the slaves are not often taken by the purchaser so quickly. She would be held in some sort of with the other slaves, or even if she's alone, she will be in a holding cell until time for her new master to take her, along with any other slaves that he may have purchased. I believe that the slave market will be the best option for us to start our search.
It's not a place that I want to be seen, nor even be, but it's where our job takes us. Let's go.
Maul, as you are leaving this place, one last glance around, one of the women catches your eye. It strikes you deep. She looks so familiar, and it reminds you of your wife. You look again, just to be sure, and you swear on everything that you hold dear. It is. What do you do?
I try to look over the crowd, trying to look past all these people that just kind of keep walking in my line of sight, trying to kind of reassure myself, is this true? I turn to Atrides. Go back to the din. Gather the others. I will meet you at the slave market. There is something I must do.
And I feel like Atrides wouldn't have the chance to say anything in response to that, because he's too slow to come to words. He probably just sees you kind of leave him to go chase this phantom, and Atrides will stand there a bit confused, bewildered, and shocked. Like, oh wow, why did Maul just abandon me in a place like this? And a little bit bewildered, he will head back to the den of iniquity that is that ether den.
Maul, as Atrides leaves, he really left. He just decided, that's it, I'm done. What is Maul doing once Atrides disappears?
So this woman, it looks like my wife, I'm assuming. Is that what you're...
Yeah, she
Okay.
looks like your wife, yeah.
Yeah. So he starts kind of just using his large size to push through the crowd, and he starts to call out her name, Garol, Garol, until he actually approaches her and puts her back is face towards him, but his hand grasp her shoulder to turn her around so that he can see her face to face.
And as you do, and she turns around, you are struck dumb, for it is indeed your wife. And I would like you, please, Alan, to describe the last time you saw your wife.
The last time that Maul had seen his wife Garol and his daughter Shell, he was doubled over, trying to kind of hold in this wound that he had taken in as he was being shackled. His wife and daughter were grabbed by other soldiers or warriors of this group that had come into his lands and decimated his tribe, killing all the men and other warriors, enslaving those that they could, especially women and children. His wife and daughter shackled by the neck, tears running down their faces, screaming for Maul to save them, and yet he couldn't, reaching out but not being able to grab them as the distance between them just grew further and further apart.
And as that scene plays in your head, her face growing further and further distant, you come back and now you see this face, aged, but yet it's her right there in front of you. And she turns around, startled, as, somebody touching her. And you can see the same play of emotion and disbelief on her face as she recognizes you. And a split second later, she'll stick out her hands and say, Maul, is that really you?
And his hand would go to her face, both of their eyes watering, and he would put his forehead to hers. Garol, it's me.
I thought you dead.
So many times I was on the cusp of death, but I swore I would find you. Where is Shell? Is she with you?
And at the mention of your daughter's name, Garol just falls into you, weeping. And after a few moments, when the tears finally subside enough, they took her. They took her a few weeks ago when she started showing with child.
I will get her back. I promise. I will. And it's like his senses come to him. We will get her back, girl. But first, I must free you from your bonds.
No. You find her first. You save her first. Then come back for me.
No.
Once you free me, we have to run. We wouldn't be able to go after her.
But I have only just found you.
I'm not going anywhere.
I will bring our daughter back, Gabriel. I promise you this. I am here with friends, companions, but we are looking for another young girl, much like our daughter. Perhaps you know. Have you seen any new young faces brought to this Barterdom?
No, I have not. All the young faces They're disappearing. There's not many left. They are taken, and they do not come back. Find her, if anyone can. It will be you. You found me. I believe you can find her.
Where? Who is your master now? How will I find you again?
I'm always here at the fishing hole if I am not in my pen. This is where you can find me. Probably the best place to find me, as we're not guarded here. And she looks down at her shackles and touches the collar. Where would we go?
He touches his forehead to hers again, closes his eyes as trying to hold back the tears, but they seem to leak from his tightly closed eyelids anyhow and stream down his face. He embraces her and kisses her, and she tastes just as sweet as the last time that he could remember them happy in the fields of their homeland. Images of his daughter, much younger, and his son before he fell in battle that day. I will be back for you, and I will find her. I will bring our daughter back, and we will go home. I promise you this.
She holds her hands up and cradles your face. Find our shell and come back to me. And I think
And-
go
Go
ahead.
ahead. I was just going to say that he would start to head back towards the den to find the rest of his companions.
And I was just going to say, I think this is where we'll take a short bio break. So we'll be back in 5-10 minutes and carry on. thank you everyone for watching and or will watch in the future. I hope you're enjoying it. Kind of feel icky after all this.
Some ickies.
Yeah. Well, we did tout it as shitty things being done to people, so.
Yep.
Hitting people in the feels, Karen.
So for springing that one on you.
Now Jeremy needs to think about what he did creating this setting.
Yeah.
What did I do?
And let him play in it, actually.
Exactly. How dare you create such a setting that bad things like this would happen?
You done goofed, boy.
It's a pretty wicked place.
I don't know what you're talking about. It seems pretty nice to me.
Sunshine and rainbows.
That's right.
And ether. Lots of ether.
We're 2 sessions in. Drugs, check. Slaves, check. Excellent.
Hitting all the boxes.
That was a fantastic scene. It was good stuff.
Thank you. I just sprung that one on Alan.
Yeah, she did.
Usually gets a pretty good reaction.
So this stability score, we should maybe go over that right now. To determine a threshold, that's what we're looking for, isn't it? How nasty do we want to be?
The nastiest.
So what do you think of 6 as a threshold? Or is that too low? Like how quickly you want to hit there?
It's a D4 added to every time you use.
Mm-hmm.
Whew. 6
And-
would be 6 would be nasty.
And then you start making your saves at that point.
Correct.
I'm up for suggestions, whatever you guys want to do. We didn't talk about this before we started, so.
Trying to find the doc, actually. I know it's in the chat somewhere.
It's kind of, I don't know, kind of how you want it to feel, honestly. If you want there to be a lot of ether usage, or if you want it to be very sparingly. I could go either way. I'm an elf, so if the threshold is not dangerous, I will probably be using it quite a bit. Maybe to the chagrin of certain people.
Yep.
I'm disappointed. Really.
Stop being a moron, Evelios.
I really did think when you said inside check, I really did think you said it in character.
Absolutely. Aegis just leans into this poor girl and just says, "Inside check."
Activating insight protocol.
Tell me your secrets.
I just imagine just like on his back, there's one of like those lie detector needles just scribbling as all this paper comes out of him. Are you lying?
These lenses come out to just magnify the construct's eyes. Just these giant blue eyes, like, are you lying to me? So stability threshold of 10.
Yeah, let's go with 10. It's a nice even number. We might hit it. We might not. It's up to you guys. All right, I think we have everybody back. So with that, we will go back to the den and the 3 people who are there at this moment. You have slung Ivelios up over your shoulder, I believe is what you said.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And you're heading towards the slave pits.
Correct.
You haven't gone very far when you see Aetrides walking towards you.
So Aegis would heft Ivelios into a slightly more comfortable position for it, not so much for him, and then move towards Aetrides and say, "We need to go to the slave pits. I believe that's where Marika's daughter was taken. Where is?" And the blue eyes will look around. Where is Maul?
Maul left me. I think it's best for us to go to the slave market itself.
Why did Maul leave you?
It's none of my business, and none is it yours.
Aegis will tilt its helmeted head to the side for a moment, then shrug, kind of rattling Ivelios a little bit. Fine. The slave pits first, then the slave market. Let's go. We're wasting time.
I recommend actually the market first, and then the pits.
Why?
Well, if she is a slave, after all, we want to catch her before she is sold instead of any other alternative.
Do you
She's
know
not
that
in
she's
the
been
market.
sold already?
She might as well, but who knows how fast the coins in this place fly.
Fine. Let's just make a decision and move.
Turns out they actually don't use coinage here.
It's a barterdom.
He just grunts and sighs. Just to the market.
We go to the market with
We
Ivelios
go
slung
the
over her
market.
shoulder.
So as you're walking towards the slave market, you realize that unlike other places where there'd be a raised dais and the slaves would be marched to and fro, sold to the highest bidder, there is no such thing here in Bounty, which is odd, because you have seen slaves. Well, Aetrides, you've seen slaves. But what you do see as you're walking, now that you are looking for it, is that there are quite a few places where there are women shackled around the neck, working at various tasks. And as you're heading towards this, Maul makes an appearance. You see him walking towards you.
There you are. Thought I lost you.
Maul, we are finally seeing eye to eye. I am as tall as you.
Hmm.
Aegis will look at Evelios and just ask, "Are you feeling all right?"
I feel wonderful. Ah!
I will take that as a no, and it'll just have to back on the shoulder and look at Maul. Where were you, Maul?
I have talked to some of the slaves, but no news of this girl that we are searching for. But
Very well.
I still believe that the slave market would be the best place to look.
That's where we're going, and then potentially the slave pits. But let's check out the market first.
I haven't seen any sort of slave selling area.
I imagine such a place will be hard to miss. We just need to keep moving.
So as you keep walking, you do not find an area where you would say sell slaves. But as you're walking, you hear it sounds like shouts and cheers and all sorts of revelry going off in the distance. Do you approach?
Eagerly.
Reluctantly.
Hesitantly.
And Ballsley.
Insight check.
Inside check.
If you want to make an insight check, you go right ahead.
No.
All right. So as you approach, the shouts and cheers get louder and louder. And what you see off in the distance is almost like bleachers have been set up around this massive ring of wooden spikes sticking up. And as you near, you can see that the bleachers they're not full, but they have got quite a few people sitting in them, cheering on. And as you approach nearer, you can hear the sounds of combat almost below, inside this ring of that's guarded, not guarded, but surrounded by these sharpened stakes that are sticking up. Do you approach closer?
I can't see over all these people.
Do you need a lift?
You're not lifting me anywhere.
And you almost hear it. It almost sounds like a chuckle coming from the construct. You just hear, We should get closer, though. And it will move forward, making sure to keep a secure grip on Evelios on its shoulder as it moves a little closer to the stakes, kind of peer over into the pit that we're very close to.
Yes, indeed. It is a lowered area. So the bleachers are raised so that you can sit in them and see down into this lowered area. And inside this lower area, you can see currently that there is some sort of monstrous creature in there. And as you look closer, you can tell that it's none other than a broken. A huge, massive broken. And in the pit with it are a handful of what look like weaker, older men. A couple of them already lie dead, bleeding into the wooden floor. Others are desperately trying to poke this thing with tiny little spears, not doing much damage. And the crowd sitting around are cheering, drinking, having a great time. What do you guys do?
Well, perhaps it would be in our best interests to spread out among the stands, maybe see if anyone knows of a fight involving, and Aegis's etheric eyes will look at this broken, this corrupted Bonekin just savaging these older or weaker men, see if there are any fights coming up involving young women. And there's a hesitance, which, considering the voice is very reedy and gender neutral, the hesitance is so pronounced that it is actually noticeable in the construct's voice as it looks around, clearly uncomfortable with what it is beholding at this particular point. It actually, I imagine it kind of shifts Evelios away a little bit, trying to hide the scene from him in a way almost like a protective parent.
You all can spread out as you will. I can see. I'm fine here.
All right. Are you going to ask the people around you for information to see if they know of any upcoming fights that Marika's daughter might be involved in potentially? This is where the aether serving elf told me that she might be, where young women were taken sometimes when they came here unwillingly.
Sure. I'll talk to people, see if I can see anything.
Good. And Aegis will kind of stomp off in the opposite direction. The grace that she had that it had in the Ether Tavern, sort of returning to its more clunky, kind of slow-moving form, and it's just going to try and keep its ears, air quotes, open for any hint of news about a fight between young women and monsters, I guess. I mean, I have no idea, but it is listening.
Evelios calls after Durnan. Durnan, you are getting smaller! As he's carried away, still on Aegis's shoulder.
So yes, in the pit, you can see this broken, definitely a male version of the monster, tearing into yet another man as he could not run away fast enough, and this mighty claws just ripped him in two. So those of you who are in the crowd talking, trying to strike up conversations and find out more information, I would like you to give me, what is it? I want to say persuasion, but I think I have a different game in my head right now.
Persuasion is a skill.
Okay.
There's also investigation.
Yeah, either would probably work. So if you guys want to give me a roll on that. I try these. You are not very good at this.
Nope. So you got a natural one.
Every
I've
time
been talking to chairs this whole time.
that's right. Every time you try to strike up a conversation, they either slap you or, I don't know, turn and walk away. It just, I don't know, something about it maybe.
Yeah,
Not
my
sure
cheek is just a little too sore from all this.
I'm going to go ahead and roll, but I'm going to roll with disadvantage
Perfect.
since I might actually be talking to a chair. Well, that's not bad. 15, actually. Oh, no, I'm sorry. Disadvantage, not advantage. No, that's a 3.
Yeah. So you are actually probably talking to who knows what you're imagining at this point.
You're talking to me.
You're hearing all sorts of wonderful information, Ivelios. We can go with that. So, Durnan, you seem to be the best at rooting out information. Aegis is not finding too much itself. It might have something to do with this elf that you're lugging around.
I kind of imagine while Evelios is just talking to nothing, Aegis is just shaking its head, and eventually it jiggles you a little bit. Evelios is like, Evelios, shut up, shut up, shut up, shut up. I'm trying to get you to stop talking.
Trying to find information. We have a job to do.
Damn it.
So, Durnan, in your conversations that you strike up with the people, you hear that this is, a kind of a common occurrence. It's not every night that they have these fights for entertainment. It's more of a weekend pleasure, let's say. And it usually always involves some sort of one of these monster races versus either another monster race or some slaves that were just getting too old for any use otherwise, or sometimes those who have found to break the laws of bounty, which we know that there are not very many, but you're not supposed to steal or murder, at least not be caught doing either of those. So some criminals will be ended this way as a just desserts. But never women. Women are never in the pits fighting. You may have female monster, but never women themselves.
I actually wait till the fight is over before seeking out my friends with this information to see who wins.
Are you going to bet on it?
But do they accept money bets?
No.
Then no. I don't know what my exchange rate is here.
Probably wise. So it's not much longer actually before this Broken manages to maul all of the slaves that were thrown in there with him. And then he proceeds to chow down before what you could say, the I'm not, don't want to call them guards, but words are failing me right now. The people who are in charge of
The thugs?
the prisoners, sure.
Like wardens, that kind of thing?
Yeah, if you wanted to like gladiator pit, but the
Slave owners?
Yeah,
So it wasn't
slave masters, something maybe.
masters. Let's go with masters.
That works.
so it wasn't really like a competition match. It was more like just they have this wild animal and they just throw thieves and other prisoners to it, and it's just kind of entertainment.
Yeah, and sometimes it can be more of an actual fight, depending on what they throw at them. But this one was purely a bloodbath frenzy for pleasure. The masters let it satiate itself before they go in with nets and some sort of huge ass harpoon gun thing that they brandish, and eventually they shoot it. It knocks it out at some point, and they drag its, at this point, lifeless body towards one of the lower cells.
Yeah, I imagine the Maul, while watching this spectacle, he would be clutching the this bone necklace that he keeps tied around his neck. It's probably the main focus if you're looking at him, because he's bare chested most of the time unless he's wearing some sort of cloak or something. But he's got this leather thong that's got some bone trinkets kind of woven into it. But those bone charms remind him of his wife and his children, and he would just be kind of just clasping onto those charms while watching this Bonekin, thinking how many times has he almost gotten to that point of becoming a broken himself on this journey, and now being so close to his wife and so close to his daughter. And he snaps back to it as soon as he sees this Bonekin get dropped and dragged away.
So Dernan, you go back to the others after the fight.
I would like cup Evelios's face in my hand. Are you feeling any better there, Seabreeze? Or are you still 2 sheets to the wind?
I am the wind, Dernan. I am the wind.
And like, tap you on the side of the face. That a boy. And I would turn to Atrides and Maul. It would appear as if they don't allow, or at least don't perpetuate fights with slave girls as the opponents against these creatures. Doesn't seem they happen every night either.
For the best. I wish to see none of this bloodbath.
The spectacle is over. We can look elsewhere.
The question is, where are we going to look? This was the only lead we had. Any thoughts?
There's always people around who know things, who deal with the things that others will not. Others cannot. We should talk with them, I think.
And the construct will turn its head towards you, Evelios, on its shoulder. Who specifically are you thinking? Maybe one of them, and it'll nod towards the pit masters, I guess. We're probably in the process of dragging the broken away. Someone like them, or a merchant, perhaps?
Look for the people who do not want to be seen, he says, and he kind of like closes his eyes and like starts to snore softly.
And
what kind of riddling is that?
I'm not certain, but
He indulged a little too much.
I mean, he might have a point. We look for someone that's trying to be unobtrusive. Maybe they know more. And in this surprisingly kind of tender gesture, he just kind of shifts Evelios on its shoulder, trying to make him as comfortable as possible, I guess. But we should try, at least. And it's going to start just scanning, I guess, the dispersing crowd for anybody that looks maybe not shady, but someone that looks almost unnaturally average. Unusually average. Above averagely average.
They have a 10 in every ability score.
You know, they're just wearing gray clothes with a sign around their neck that says, "I'm normal. How are you today?"
Yeah. The
Yes.
eyes are a mix of brown and blue, and their skin color is, just halfway in between everything else. You can't tell what the race is.
Yes, as you look around, I mean, all you see are really shady people. So looking for the average is most of the average have collars around their necks. And as you're scanning the crowd and all the various shops in this area, you are struck by the fact that at one area, people seem to be parting to let someone go through. And what you see are two men walking together with an entourage of guards with them. One carries this nasty looking whip at his side with a blade on it, and he walks with purpose, and he's human. Beside him is a cloaked figure. It's hard to tell what it is. You cannot see under the cloak. But what is strange about this one is that holding his hand is a young girl. Guess maybe 6. And she is walking with these two men and the guards around them. And every once in a while, she'll tug on this cloaked man's arm and she'll point. And she's always pointing. It'll be a woman, a young woman. And immediately after she points at one, the human in front will nod to his guards, and the guards will go to that woman and they will drag her off. And the one that you see is kicking and screaming as she is taken away. And she's taken away in the direction that these men are coming from. And then the party will proceed further through the crowd. About 3 women are taken away at this point before these men turning and leaving back the way that they came.
Well, they aren't exactly going out of their way to remain unseen, but that might be our best option at this point. And Aegis is going to start clomping off in that direction. Ivelios still kind of hanging off of its shoulder, following the group.
Itrides, Dernan, Maul, what are you guys doing?
Itrides given these people several hundred yards of space. So I fear that Aegis will have to do it alone, at least from the perspective of Atreides.
I think I would go to Maul. Shall we?
Yes, we should follow them.
Will you lead the way? You'll clear a bigger path than me.
And Maul would just almost like a plow. I mean, just kind of rush through this crowd as if he's like swimming through them.
I'd like you to make me a strength check, please. You could use athletics.
Okie doke. I tend to be good at that.
Does Aegis need to make one as well, or just Maul?
Well, Maul was saying that he was like plowing through the crowd.
Okay,
Okay.
understood.
That's a 26.
All right. So, yeah, you are plowing through very well. People are being knocked out of your way. They are not too happy about such treatment, as can be understood. But you managed to make pretty good headway. What are those who are following you doing as these people are getting knocked aside and not looking too happy about it?
I imagine that Aegis, even with Evelios on its shoulder, is able to keep relatively good pace with Maul, just because it's also fairly large and bulky, and it was moving towards the group of slavers and this random child.
Yes, absolutely. I would say definitely right up there with them. Atreides, how about you? Are you
Atreides
following?
is yeah, he's following, but he's taking up the rear. Probably, as the crowd kind of forms back together again, as the bubble that is passing, that is Maul, kind of spreads parts it. He's probably caught up in the crowd a lot, and probably is even losing distance, or I guess gaining distance, losing ground against his party members. He's struggling to get past people.
And Durnan?
I was holding tightly to like Maul's weapon belt or whatever. As soon as he started cutting through, I was maintaining close proximity just to make sure that he sees where we need to go.
Perfect. So as you push through the remains of this crowd, and it starts to dwindle, where it's much easier going. Atreides, you find yourself probably a good 50 feet back from them once you finally break free of the crowd yourself. And Maul, just ahead of you, you can see this slaver and his guards as they round a corner, probably about 2 blocks ahead of you. Looks like they're heading towards maybe some sort of dock area. I mean, there's dock areas all over this place, but this one seems to be where they're headed.
I look back at Durnan. Perhaps this is what happened in the last town that we were in. Maybe the girl is on the ship where they take these other women.
We're in the middle of the goddamn Essence Sea. Where could they possibly take him?
I don't know, but if we do not get to that ship, we will lose them.
I'm right behind you. And I got spells and stuff. I'm gonna cast. I pull from like the side of my tunic a small lantern that's got a dial, and when I like rotate this dial, there's a spiral that opens up, revealing like a varying sized beam of light. And I'm going to cast Bless on the both of us. May the light of the lantern lead our way. Carry on.
Beautiful. And so when you go those last couple of blocks and you round that corner, what you see in front of you is not quite what you were expecting. Rather than a boat on the water, there is an airship hovering above next to one of these massive metal chains that reaches up into the sky. And the crowd, these men with the 3 women that they have taken, are standing in a circle. Two groups, in fact. So the first group is a couple of guards with the 3 women. And then the second is the man, a few more guards, the cloaked figure, and the child. And the cloaked figure and the child step towards the 3 women and the 2 guards. And the man presses a button on his wrist, some sort of device. And instantly, we see rings come down from the ship. And when they disappear, that first group is gone. And then the remaining members approach that same area. What do you guys do? Excuse me.
You'd see Maul look back at Dern and kind of just grit his teeth. Why did it have to be a damn airship?
Don't look at me. I don't have the answer. I don't like it any much more than you do. But unfortunately... And he'd like push you forward.
Yeah, I imagine the 2 of us would probably just try and go and catch them before they.
Is there
What's that?
like is there people around us like outside of people are dispersing? Is there like a crowd around this thing going on?
There's no crowd, but there would be. It's not deserted by any stretch of the imagination. This looks like a much nicer area. I mean, if you could say nice about this place, but it's a little bit better constructed. Looks like there's a little bit more money, let's say, goes into construction in this area.
Can I like make some sort of check to see how like the public opinion of this is? 'Cause everyone's like, yeah, this is fine. They can do that.
Yeah, absolutely. Go ahead. I guess insight would be the best probably on this one.
I got an actual 20. Burn that up now. Which is good because, oh no, my insight's great. Fuck, 26.
Oh, wow. You can tell from just following this group that the people with the collars tend to try to hide when this group was coming through, try not to be seen. Those without collars seem to almost not revere, but they definitely respect these people and would get out of their way. So whoever these individuals are, they seem to be fairly high ranking, you would assume, for this city.
Yeah, I would push forward with Maul in an attempt to confront them.
So as you approach, you're probably about 40 feet away. They are all together. There's the ones that are left. There's this man, and he's got 5 guards with him. One is a huge, massive man. Almost would dwarf Aegis there. And as he turns, he notices you guys coming towards him, and he's getting ready to hit a device that's on his arm. We will roll for initiative. All right. Okay. So as you guys are approaching, do you shout out anything, or are you approaching just silently?
I wouldn't be like outwardly, I guess. Maul, how would you?
I mean, I would. Maul is definitely.
I feel like
against
you're a little bit.
slavery.
Yeah, I feel like you're a little bit more emotionally peaked than I am right now.
Yeah, I would definitely say like. I mean, definitely on my turn, I will be activating rage. So I imagine like he would probably be doing a war cry as he was charging down there.
Okay. So as Maul is war charging, yelling towards and running towards this man, this group, the man turns, sees you, and says to the big guy beside him, "Deal with that." And the man says, "Yes, Mammon, I will." Him and the 2 step out, and the man presses the device. The rings come down. And when they are gone, so is him. What remains on the ground in front of you, I need to stop sharing, is a huge man. Do I have it open? Just give me 1 second. Huge man and 2 other, they look puny compared to him, but they are, big normal men. This is hard doing stuff at once. Give me a second. Okay. There we go. So you see this huge man, probably 7.5 to 8 feet tall. He's massive. And he is carrying 2 stone battle axes. And that brings us to Aegis. It is your turn.
So hearing Maul's war cry and noticing the Bonekin starting to charge through the probably rapidly dispersing crowd at this point, Aegis looks to Evelios on its right shoulder and just says, "This is probably a really bad idea." And it tightens its grip on you, Evelios, and it is going to charge forward. I guess technically it only has one hand, so it's going to unsling the sort of rusty iron kite shield, just kind of putting it up in front like a barricade. And it's just going to, I guess, dash. You said what was left on the ground was the big guy and then 2 smaller people, and then what else? Were the rings still on the ground or no?
No, when the rings disappeared, that's what you're left is this huge guy and then 2 other guards. Shit.
All right. Yeah, Aegis is just going to rush forward with the shield out, and Evelios kind of like tilting its body back, so Evelios is kind of behind, and the shield is in front. How far away is this thing? Is this person?
I said 40 feet.
40 feet? Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, it would take a movement and then a dash. So Aegis will get right up in this large man's face and just say in this reedy voice, "We don't need to fight. We can talk about this." But it's probably not super convincing coming from this this construct. That's gonna be my turn.
All right, and that brings us to Durnan.
Following tightly behind Maul, I'm going to run up. Actually, no. I'm going to bonus action cast something. What was it? Spiritual weapon. And the lantern that I had shown on Maul, I've kind of been holding in my hand, and I kind of have released it, and the cylindrical shape has kind of oblonged into a spear shape that you would recognize from the ship. As I conjure this weapon from the Colosseas of Light and the Colosseas of Forging. And it is kind of just going to kind of like pinwheel at this thing and try and attack him. I should probably roll for that. Huh?
Yeah, roll to hit. You're going for the big guy?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So that will be a 24 to hit.
Yes, that is a hit.
He'll only take, he'll take 8 damage.
Okay.
And as this thing kind of pinwheels and flies and sticks into him, I'm going to make my normal attack and kind of with my warhammer spike into the end of this spear, trying to just bury it farther into him.
Okay.
Where'd my D20 go in my hand? Not as good on that one. 9 on the die for a total of 14 or 16 rather.
Yep, that will also hit.
I have an incredible to hit. This is insane. For a total of 9 damage.
So what was that second hit with again? I'm sorry.
Thematically, I had hit him with my warhammer. Not thematically, mechanically, I hit him with my warhammer.
Okay, so you closed in on him?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so as your spear hits him, that's what you hit first, right? The
spiritual weapon bonus
spiritual
action.
weapon? Yeah. As it hit him, he basically laughed at it as it struck into him. But then you followed it up with the warhammer, and his laughter kind of turned into a more of a guttural. Yeah, Jason's got it there. Ha 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 ha. And he turns in and he starts kind of basically looking at you, Durnan, and growling as he's now annoyed with you. Atrides. It's your turn.
Atrides sees the commotion happening. He will advance, but not too far. As he pulls out his conch shell, and as he does so, he breathes into it and blows a sound, but the sound is silent. And the air that escapes his conch shell is a thick rolling mist, and it congeals and it begins to crystallize even and gather. Frost will gather on his fingers on the conch itself, and a bit of cold will hang in the air as he goes and this misty knife will launch from the conch shell as he casts Ice Knife upon Mama. All right, I'm going to make an attack roll against him. That's going to be a 17 to hit.
That is a hit.
He will need to make a dexterity saving throw, please, as he takes at least 2 points of damage.
So he got a 13 on the save.
All right, he fails that, which means he'll take 2 piercing and 10 cold.
And you were aiming for the big guy, right? That's what I...
Oh, sorry. 13 cold. Yeah, 2 piercing, 13 cold.
Okay.
That is my turn.
So I imagine that as your ice knife, ice dagger, whatever it was, hits his chest, there's a brief moment where the area around it kind of turns blue before his body heat rewarms it up. Definitely hurt him. Maul, it is your turn.
Okay. Yeah, Maul enters a rage as he screams his war cry, clearing the 40 feet with great speed. Ancestors, I call on you to fight with me. Avenge our people. And as he goes into a rage, you can see like this white, ethereal, like mist, kind of almost like steam, like come off his body and form these other Bonekin barbarian warriors that kind of circle around him as he goes full in with his colossi knuckle club to just clobber this monstrosity before him. All right, that's an 18 on the die, plus 7. So I think that pretty much hits.
Yeah, that's a hit.
Okay.
I was gonna
All
say
right.
you have +4 as well, but
Oh, that's true. Yeah. All right. All right. That is. Where's my rage damage? It's +2. Yep. Okay. So that's 9, 10, 11. 11 bludgeoning for my first attack. And since I am raging, my ancestral protectors basically surround the creature that I attacked, which hinders its attack. So until the start of my next turn, the target has disadvantage on any attack roll that isn't me. And if it does hit a creature that's not me with its attack, that creature that attack has resistance to the damage that was dealt. So, and then I am going to go ahead and take my second attack. That's a 19 on the die. That's much better damage. That's going to be 10, 14, 15, 16 bludgeoning on the second attack. So yeah, so Maul comes in with his colossal knuckle club and just kind of swings upward, beating against this thing's chest as it beats it back, and then comes down overhead, trying to just slam it down.
And this man, the laughter that turned into a grunt is now turned into almost a cry of pain as you deal those 2 massive blows to him. That brings us to Ivelios.
Elios, as they're kind of running, is kind of shaken awake. What is going on? Where are we?
We're fighting.
Put me down. You desecration.
And Aegis hesitates for a moment, and then we'll go ahead and set you down.
He kind of like brushes himself off almost, and kind of looks around to figure out.
Welcome, by the way.
I did, yes, of course. He kind of like waves dismissively. So he's gonna kind of like try to take stock of what's going on. So he's going to look over and spot where Maul is wailing on this guy. And he's going to try to make himself scarce. He's going to try to blend in with the crowd that's probably gathering around this fight. So I would like to hide.
Sure, make me a roll.
Okay. I'm at disadvantage because of the level of exhaustion.
Okay. But it's also very dark, so.
Okay. I rolled the same on both.
Okay.
So, which is not stellar. But that's one of my good. So that's a 16 total.
Okay.
So he's going to slink into the crowd, and then he's going to draw his bow and start to ready it.
Okay, perfect. That brings us to these guys. The big guy looks at you, Maul. You have got his attention with those attacks that hurt. And he booms out at you. You think to harm Karn? I don't think so. Puny Bonekin. And he levels those two stone axes that are each very big now that you're closer at them. And he is going to attack you, Maul. Is it disadvantage on all of his attacks or just when he's not attacking you?
It's only if he does not attack me.
Okay. Okay, well, his rolls are. So the first roll is at 18.
Yeah, that'll hit.
Okay, and the second one fails. And the third one is a 12.
That one will miss.
Okay, so he hits you with 1. So he's basically, these axes are swinging at you, left hand, left hand. And the right hand connects with you for 15 points of slashing damage.
Okay. Since I am raging, I have resistance to slashing damage, so we'll do 16.
Yeah, you take 7 then. The two that are beside him, one on the left, one on the right. The one on the right will go for you, Dernan. They are wearing leather armor and wielding short swords. Oh. So that is a 17 and an 18 to hit. Does that hit you, Dernan?
My armor class is 19.
So they both of his attacks clatter off of your armor or your weapons as you parry him nicely. You manage to evade both of those. Other side, who's Aegis? You're down there as well, right?
Correct. Yeah. It should be right beside Memo.
So Memo is the guy who left in the ring.
Oh, got it.
Yeah. Just want to clear that up. This big brute is Karn. So you're all standing around this big guy, right?
I believe so, except Itrides.
Except Itrides and Ivelios. So this other one on the left will be attacking you, Aegis.
Irkadirk.
So that is a nat 20, and second hit will be a 15.
So the nat 20 hits, the 15 does not.
Does not. Okay. So you are going to take, as the first strike hits you, he manages to catch you off guard, and it's going to I rolled very low. 9 points of piercing damage as he manages to puncture, I guess maybe a soft part of the wooden part of you, and manages to chip 9 points off. And that brings us back to Aegis, your turn.
I imagine it was, for some reason, hearing Ivelios call it a desecration. Somehow, even though I imagine Aegis has probably heard this multiple times from elves, from dwarves, from Bonekin, something about Ivelios saying that distracted it just long enough for this individual to stab at one of these kind of rotted, lacquered redwood limbs, digging into the gears and kind of causing some etheric sparks and oily white smoke to pour out. And instinctively, Aegis reaches behind its back and pulls out this iron-hilted etheric shard of a longsword, and it just cuts across at the individual who attacked it. That is a 22 to hit, and I need it to make a wisdom saving throw, please, DC 13.
Okay, wisdom.
Mm-hmm.
I have 14 on the die.
Damn. All right. So it is not afraid, even though the blue pools of light that are the construct's eyes flare with rage as it carves across the creature's front. It still ends up taking 11 points of magical slashing damage from the aether shard blade. And then Aegis attempts to strike again, kind of flipping the blade over in its right hand and then carving across the opposite way. But unfortunately, I rolled a 9 plus, or actually 9 total, which I'm assuming misses.
A 9 will miss, yes.
And that is going to be it.
So actually, what happens when you miss on that second attack, that man that you hit moves 30 feet. So he basically dances around all of you and is now on the other side. He does not provoke attacks of opportunity.
Interesting. Okay, good to know. Is that like a bonus action disengage or something like that, or is it just a thing he can do?
That is a reaction that humans can do.
Ooh, fancy pants. All right, cool. That's it for Aegis.
And that brings us to Durnan. So Durnan, you now have the big guys there, and you have 2 of the other guards are also within range of you.
We're fighting a total of 4 people or 5 people?
3 people.
Oh, that's way better. So I have this spiritual weapon. It's probably not lodged in this creature anymore, but it pinwheels again, kind of rotating like a saw, and as it would kind of collide with this creature's flesh, it kind of just sticks in rather than continuing on with its action for a 14 to hit against the big guy, Karen.
Going against the big guy. And this is which weapon?
That was my spiritual weapon.
Is that counted as a melee attack?
It is a
right?
bonus action.
Yeah. Okay,
Oh,
so
what is it considered?
yeah.
Uh,
It's melee versus, it's not a ranged. Right?
yeah, no, it's force damage.
Okay. So what happens is you are sure you're going to hit with that roll. And all of a sudden, quicker than you expected, this hulking brute in front of you manages somehow to get one of his axes up, entangles with that spiritual weapon, and manages to parry the blow. You do not hit.
And with that, I am going to swing at the guy that attacked me for a total of 15
Yeah, 15 hits.
for damage is solid. 7 plus 4, so 11 damage. As I've kind of like caused this spear to attack the big guys. This person who confronted me, I'm just gonna smack with my hammer.
Perfect. And that does a healthy blow against this other guard as you smack him with your warhammer. And that will bring us to Aetrides.
What is surrounding this area? Is it like a docks where there's open water?
Yeah, there's open water within almost like 100 feet of almost anywhere of the city, just the way it's.
Okay. So we're pretty far inland, so to speak, in this fight. You said within like 100 feet, right? So.
Oh, no, sorry. Like anywhere on the city, you're only about 100 feet away from water at any given time. So yeah, so here you could be probably 50 feet at this point where these guys are at, 50 feet away from water.
Essentially, I was thinking of pushing this guy into the water. But if it's 50 feet away, that's probably a difficult maneuver. So he will again call upon another. These short sword wielding people, are they also in tight quarters in melee with all the fine folk here?
Yeah, currently they're all around Durnan. So if you imagine like there's Aegis on one side of Maul and then Durnan's on the other side, the big guy's in front of like these, like the three of them, with the other two now on the side of Durnan.
So you could say that I can capture everyone in a 60-foot radius sphere.
Yes.
And so
everyone.
Aetrides does the thing that he did back on the ship as he blows that conch once more, and the skies darken moments after he does so. And as he cackles again to the sky, the cackle causes a little sparking as it becomes extremely overcast now. And out of nowhere, a giant crash of lightning would happen, striking the big guy. And he needs to make a dexterity saving throw. The condition. How were the conditions? How were the weather conditions before they cast a spell?
Before
was it
you, yeah, it was.
Okay. So it's just a DC 14 dex save.
I rolled 18 on the die.
Okay, so he's going to take half.
Yeah.
As I pull out some d10s. Okay, that's a good number. Okay, so that's 24 cut into, that's 12 lightning damage as I blast him with a bolt of lightning.
And that definitely singes the hairs upon his head as that lightning.
I'll continue to concentrate on this spell to keep it stormy and lightningy.
Okay, so you've made the area around everybody stormy now? Or is it just the clouds are stormy?
I just create a storm cloud above them that blasts them with lightning.
Okay.
Yeah, it only does stuff to the weather if it's already stormy.
Okay, perfect. That will bring us to Maul.
Yeah, I imagine Maul and Kern are just kind of like circling each other while these ancestral barbarians, these Bonekin, are like encircling the three of us, kind of just this like warrior standoff between me and him. And Maul moves in to like take a crack at this creature's knee. Let me roll that. +4. All right, that is a 17.
That is a hit.
Okay. That's 16 bludgeoning.
Okay.
And then I will take my, I think I have to, yeah, I'd have to dash for that, so I can't dash. I'm too close. So I'll just make another attack.
Okay.
All right, that's a 16.
That is also a hit.
Okay. That damage is not as high. That is 13 bludgeoning.
Okay. Good solid hits. This man in front of you, he wears no armor, as you can see, and he is now bleeding profusely from multitude of gashes in his skin, as you've managed to do a lot of damage towards him. You may have even cracked a rib or two with those last few blows. Ivelios, it is your turn.
This is a dock area, right?
Yeah, I will say it is. Most of the city could be considered a dock area, just the fact of what it's been, but this is definitely more so of one because this is where the airship came down. So there's open spaces for cargo loading and all that stuff.
Are there any crates and things kind of around that Avilios could kind of climb on top of?
Absolutely.
Okay. So he runs over and starts to scramble up one, and he puts his foot up, and it actually slips in between two of the slats of this crate, and he almost kind of twists his ankle, and at the last minute kind of rolls over onto his side, and realizing that he's still a little under the effects of the ether, he's bringing his bow around as he kind of gets up on one knee on top of this crate. So he's just above kind of the heads of some of the crowd, and he's going to knock an arrow and draw back. And as he does so, he sees the head of the arrow actually kind of like separate into two different like heads. And he kind of shakes his own head for a second and squints down the length of the arrow before he puts the giant hulk of a man kind of at the end of his aim, and then looses his arrow. So attacking from being hidden should give me advantage. Okay, that is a 22 to hit.
That will hit.
Wunderbar. Okay, I think I gotta check my sneak attack. I think it's 3d6 if I remember right. It is. Okay. All right, so the short bow itself will deal 9 points of piercing, followed by 6 additional points for the sneak attack.
Okay, this arrow flies true and sinks deep into his chest. And he screams in rage. Are you doing anything else, Avelius? I should have asked that before.
Yes, if there are still combatants, then Avelios will kind of tumble off of the crates into the crowd and start to make his way towards them. He can dash as a bonus action if he needs to make his way kind of through the crowd.
Okay. Yeah, because all three of them are still standing at this point.
Excellent. So yeah, he's going to kind of, if there's enough distance, he's going to kind of skirt the rim of this crowd to kind of work an angle on these guys and get behind them.
Okay. Absolutely. And this big man, this Karn, he bellows in rage as you just doing massive damages to him this last little bit. And he turns to you, Maul, and just glares. And he, again, is going to attack you with those axes. So, first hit is a 19.
Well hit.
Okay, and the second hit is a 10. Last hit is a nat 1. So, yeah. So the one hits. I've lost my dice. There we go. Will deal 18 points of slashing damage as he hits you with that first blow. But the second one goes wild, and the third one, I don't know what he hit. Maybe it was clanked off of Aegis's armor or something, but whatever it is, causes him to drop the club or the axe that he has, and it has fallen to the ground. So now he's wielding one axe. Jernan, you have 2 men on you at this point, besides this big guy. So they are both attacking you. So the first hit is a 16.
It's in a 19.
So the second one misses. Okay, the other guy, that's an 18. Nope. So all 4 of their hits, they are trying to hit you with the swords, but you are dancing around them, managing to lift up arms, blocking their blows. They are not getting through at all on any of the attacks. And that'll bring us back to Aegis.
So the construct hefts up this aether shard longsword and is going to try and just slice diagonally across Karn's chest. And that is an 18 to hit.
Yes, that hits.
Okay, and I need a DC 13 wisdom saving throw, please.
I don't think he's going to make it this time.
Awesome.
That will be a 5. Nope.
Yeah. So I imagine these blue pools of aether light shining through the cross-shaped visor of this helmet. Go ahead.
Sorry, is this a frightened effect?
It would be, yes.
Okay, so he does get advantage. I will roll.
Okay,
sorry.
cool.
Okay, that one is a 17. I'm sorry.
No, it's fine. But yeah, the eyes flare inside of the helmet as Aegis slices across Karn's chest, doing a total of 5 points of damage, but not frightening him. And then it whips the blade around again, slicing across his middle. That's going to be a 22 to hit.
Yes, 22 absolutely hits.
And that is 7 points of magical slashing damage.
7, 16. I can math. All right. He is still up, but you're not sure for how much longer. He is staggering, really, at this point.
Gotcha. So as Aegis slashes across Karn's stomach, something clicks inside of the creature's or of the construct's torso, and smoke and sparks start to pour out of it as it is going to action surge to do 2 more attacks. Because
Beautiful.
This mother trucker needs to die. So that is a dirty 20
Yep.
and a 15 on the second.
Okay, we'll do the dirty 20.
Okay.
Tell me the damage first.
Almost max. That is 9 points of magical slashing.
Okay, so he is still standing. Your second hit, you said, was a 15.
Correct.
He manages to block that hit with his parry.
All right, and that is it. The smoke and the sparks start to fade as whatever overclocking Aegis attempted to do appears to have faded by this point.
Okay, it is now Dernan's turn.
Dernan has been like blocking and parrying as many cudgels and knives and short swords as he can. He's kind of taken his attention away from this big guy and the same soldier that he attacked last time. I'm gonna roll to attack him. I pre-rolled it and I got a total of 8, so I don't think I hit him with my warhammer.
No.
But as I am kind of like focusing him with my warhammer, my spiritual weapon will come from behind with a total of 15.
Yes, that will hit.
And that'll do 7 damage as the spear kind of just stakes down from above into his back.
Okay. And I'm sorry, I missed who you were attacking.
The same soldier that
same
I've
guy?
been attacking, yeah.
Okay, perfect. 21. Okay. Aetreides, it is your turn.
Aetreides cackles and calls down the storm once again. Big brute Karn needs to make another dexterity saving throw against DC 14.
I rolled a nat 20 on that roll.
Okay, he's going to take 8 points of lightning damage instead of 17.
You can describe how this bolt of lightning kills this guy.
He is the tallest thing around by a good margin, and it's when he makes that grave mistake of stepping back onto something metal, perhaps a nail poking out from some panel or some floorboard, and fortunately he doesn't get hurt by this particular nail, even though it embeds in his skin. He's too carny for that to have happen to him, but instead it just gives a nice anchor point for this giant arc of lightning to crash in from the top of his head down to the bottom of his foot. And it passes through his heart, this bolt of lightning does. And he stands there shocked. He wants to grunt and scream and shake and yell, but he can't, as his heart has stopped beating. And he takes a step back as he drops his weapons and he falls to one knee. One of his big, meaty hands kind of clutches at his chest. He's trying to breathe, but he can't before he falls unconscious and lands face first in kind of the mud and blood that is this fight scene.
Nice. Maul, that brings us to you.
Okay.
We have 2 guards left.
Okay, that's what I was thinking. I would. Just Maul, just still in his rage, his sinew just pulled tight as just the veins throughout his body is just pumping adrenaline. he looks over and spots one of these guards, and he just does like a full sprint. And as he gets closer, he kind of just lowers his head. And I am going to use my horns and just kind of ram this guy.
Perfect.
That is a nat 20.
Awesome. Okay.
All right. And I will do the 8 bludgeoning, or I guess, how do you want to do?
So I do
crits?
max damage and then roll.
Okay, so that's already an 8 plus my rage, so that's 10. So that's 15 bludgeoning.
Okay. He is still standing.
All right, then I will take my second attack. Uh, 16, 21.
Yeah, that hits.
Okay. And that's 15 bludgeoning.
You can describe how this blow, so shortly after the head ram knocks this guy completely out.
Yeah, like I said, I imagine Maul just like bellows out this roar as like, especially with the weather change, you can see his breath as he comes in, and he headbutts this guy, and he stumbles back, losing his footing, and then you just see this bone club come down on top of his helmet, and his helmet caves in as the guy just crumples to the floor, losing his footing.
Gruesome. Wonderful. That brings us to Ivelios.
Ivelios is once again trying to get himself lost in the crowd, and he he does not succeed. He's trying to make his way around, and he gets to a certain point where he actually has to bump into someone, and as he does so, they knock over like this stack of like glass ornamentation that's like waiting to be loaded onto one of these ships, and it all collapses down and shatters everywhere. Ivelios kind of looks and realizes that he was the cause of this noise, because I rolled a 1 on my stealth with disadvantage. But as the crowd has kind of like turned to look at him, there's this opening. And so he's going to take the opportunity and knock an arrow and aim at this last standing slaver and loose at him as well. It will not be at advantage because I am not hidden. But that's a natural 20 on the die.
Beautiful. Roll damage.
All right. So no sneak attack. Oh, wait. No. Is somebody's engaged with him, right?
Yeah, Durnan is right there.
Yes. So I do get sneak attack. Beautiful. Ooh, that's God. That's 9 points of piercing again. And 11 points of sneak attack damage.
So you can describe how this arrow ends him.
So there's this this crash of the broken glass, and it kind of makes like almost like a record scratching moment, like everything kind of stops for a second and looks that direction. And like I said, as the crowd has parted, Ivelios kind of with his elven reflexes very, very quickly knocks an arrow and takes full advantage of the situation and shoots and plants this arrow right in between this guy's eyes. He goes rigid and just falls straight back onto the ground.
Nice. Ivelios, I'd like you to make me a perception check, please.
Okay, I still have disadvantage on that. So perception is going to be an 11.
Okay, that's actually just enough. When you knocked over that crate and you looked down momentarily to see that noise that you'd made, you notice emblazoned on the side of it the crest of Onto. And for the rest, you've downed your foes. They lie in front of you, battered, bleeding. There is a crowd gathering. They have seen you end these three. A crime in Bounty. And above you, you can hear the airship flying away up into the clouds. As it disappears, it's almost flying straight up. It is following that metal chain that is right there, attaching to... You're not sure exactly what. You can't see it from here, from the clouds that are gathered, the storm clouds in the dark. But the airship is flying up that chain towards whatever it is attached to. And we are going to end our session right there. So thank you, everyone. Thank you for playing along. We will do outros. I'm going to start with Baron.
What's up, everyone? I'm Baron. I run the YouTube channel RWD Gaming. We just broke one of 2 laws that exist in this place, so doing a good job, doing God's work. I played Durnan Shadesun, or Durnan Kodunra. Yeah, so this Barterdom is fucking horrific. Slave everybody, take the girls. I'm stressed. Good game. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for playing. Thank you for being stressed, I guess. Next, we have Jeremy.
Hey everybody, I am Jeremy. I have a YouTube channel. It's called the Erasmus Expeditions. I do live plays, including a campaign that is in this very same setting called Whispers and Fragments. Go check it out. I'm also 1/3 of the Dudes of Yore podcast, which is also to be found on YouTube. So go check that out. And yeah, I did not end up doing a lot this session, as my character was on drugs the whole time. So it happens, especially with an elf. What are you going to do? But I had a lot of fun. It's fantastic to hand a setting off to a different DM and see what they're going to do with it. And you certainly haven't disappointed. And I cannot wait to see what else is going to rear its ugly head in front of us, and then promptly get it cut off. So thank you very much for having me. It's a pleasure always to play with these gentlemen and with you at the helm, Karen. So thank you.
Thank you. It's a pleasure having you guys play with me. It's awesome. Jason.
Hello, hello. I am Jason Osorio playing Aegis, the reborn battlemaster. Yeah, this was a lot of fun. I got to actually hit things, which was great, instead of throwing pieces of wood at creatures in the water, which was terrible last session. Not that, last session wasn't great, but it was terrible for Aegis. Anyway, yeah, like I said, I have a small YouTube channel, Concepts and Characters, but definitely check out Flipping the Table, which is on Podbean. I think we actually have a YouTube channel as well. It's a podcast I do with some friends of mine. It's a lot of fun, but of course, thank you so much to you, Karen. I love these kind of grimy, awful places, kind of settings for games, because it's just such an interesting, I guess, moral dilemma, if nothing else. And of course, excellent players only enhance that. So thank you so much for having me, and I'm definitely looking forward to seeing what happens over the next 1 or 2 sessions.
Thank you so much. Connor.
Hey, I'm Connor. I try these. Looking forward to seeing what kind of shenanigans we get up to in this pirate cove of bounty, and further go down the rabbit hole that is all of this. So that was fun. I'm looking forward to the next session.
As am I. And last but not least, Alan.
Hi, I'm Alan. I run the YouTube channel Check for Traps. I played Maul, the Bonekin barbarian, and Karen, what can I say? You did the DM prep at the start of this campaign, and really took to heart what your players wanted to see out of the game and everything. And I think it's paying off. I think we can all agree to that. So thank you so much for running this and bringing this group together. And I would say that you are taking those Jeremy touchstones, bullet points that he has made for this world, and you're making them your own, but it feels like it is the world of momentum. So
Thank you very much. You guys are absolutely fabulous. I love having you guys playing on the other side of the table from me. It's amazing what you guys are bringing to it, and can't wait for what's going to happen in the next couple of sessions. So thank you so much. And everyone, thank you for watching now and in the future. And I believe our next session is in 3 weeks. Is that right? Sorry, check my little book here. Our next session will be on the 13th of May. So if you're around, you can catch us then. As we know, have a great night, everyone. Thank you.